All over there.
Yep.
6 o'clock, call the meeting order, the open meetings act posted on the wall. Roll call.
All right, Holly.
Here.
Buckminster. Rob. Wisdom.
Here.
Ferguson.
Here.
Ratcliffe.
Here.
Foraker.
Here.
Layden. All right, we got 5, we got a quorum.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under the mayor's report, the citizens to know that Dan's Lake got stocked with 200 catfish, 200 rainbow trout, and a little over 300 bluegill. City administrator report.
Well, let's see here. We continue to have a bunch of water main breaks. If you guys have seen patchwork and everything else across town, that seems to be a constant burden to our city crews and increases in costs. So Trevor's looking at that. There is a planned phasing through the capital improvement plan for water mains. So I think it's something we probably need to bring to the forefront and look at some of these spots where we're constantly having more issues, whether we need to do a lining or a pipe bursting repair, or potentially what we need to do to get those done. We're having, we do a section and then the next year, maybe 30 yards down, that same section's got the same problem. So we got Trevor's kind of looking at that right now to get the Board of Public Works to move on that. Financial side of things, we're going to try to get a budget committee set up this week, and then we'll have the special meeting and budget hearing on the 25th at 5:30. So notices are all published out for that. We had a whole bunch of other implementation stuff that came up to play. So I was planning on going out on a conference at the end of next week, but I'm going to end up sticking around here, and I'll have to go up to the spring one to get my CEUs for treasurer and clerk, just with everything that's going on. They had the fly-in breakfast on the 9th. They had 300 people attended that. Over 300 people, 15 pilots flew in, and then the LifeNet helicopter team was there, and they had a little over 20 first responders attended the FAA sponsored first responder training. Excuse me. The airport authority just actually switched design consultants or airport consultants from Kirk and Michael to MEI, which is Midwest Engineering Inc. Out of Lincoln, Nebraska. So they're getting set up as a consultant within Nebraska. They had staff that was set out of like Burns and Mac, doing that work out of Kansas and Missouri, or it used to be at Burns and Mac. So we're getting them pulled up together. So Kirk and Michael will be finishing a few things that were under contract, and then their planned hangar project will be designed and implemented by MEI. We got 7 projects that we're getting ready to do for owner-occupied rehab. That was that grant we had about $500,000 sitting in at SIN to get something done. We did a drive for that and got quite a few projects. So they got these 7 lined up. I think we had 20 or 30 that ended up getting submitted or more. A lot of those get kicked out because their cost of rehab are higher than $25,000. So that's kind of the threshold. So we got 7 ready to go. Those will go to the housing board for review. That'll award about, I think, that'll award over 300,000 of that, and we'll have about 250K, a little over 250K left in that. So I'm reaching out to SIN to see if we need to do a whole nother outreach, try to get those chalked up. But that was the one grant that's kind of put us on the fits for our DTR last year because that wasn't expended down enough. It's expended down plenty now, especially with this, but we'll want to get that done probably within the next 6 to 12 months, I would say. We had an additional meeting is planned with the Sheriff's Office and County Commissioner Karras to discuss 911 dispatching. We had that kind of preliminary cost to them. And then we're going to meet next Monday to see if we can hatch out anything else. I had a meeting with Blue Rivers Area on Aging to talk about Meals on Wheels program and their operations at the senior center. They're looking at the utility costs and everything down there are pretty high for them. So they're looking at what they can potentially do. Some of the discussion was to actually talk with the housing agency, Southeast Nebraska Housing Partnership, because they have the contracted meal service program out there already, and see if that could be somewhat merged. So that was, I guess, facilitated by me to get that kind of moving along. They got some numbers and are potentially looking at contracting that out like they used to do with Cinco with the housing agency. So we'll see how that plans out. There'll be a bunch of planning to get done and how long they need to be in the facility and not, or when they want to come out of that, and our lease component with that. Here this Friday, the focus session group people will travel up to Greater Omaha area to visit 3 rec centers in Woodbine, Iowa, Council Bluffs, and Papillion. Look at a few of those and hopefully get some ideas moving forward on how that can be facilitated and operated. A few projects got buttoned up, so there's a list of projects there. Some of those were moved down to our completed projects. The reed bed was completed and done. The Phase 8 gas main project was completed. The water main relocation down the Preston Bridge for Burlington Northern was wrapped up, pretty much on punch list items there. And then the sewer rehab work, the 2021 sewer rehab work, is on its final punch out lists. So we moved that down. So quite a few of those were buttoned up, and we'll move on to the next ones. That's all I got.
Chief?
Just with the migration from Windstream to Lumen, the dispatchers completed all their training last week, and Motorola and Lumen are in CenturyLink have been down there all day today, switching all our equipment over, and they switch over tomorrow.
Thank you. Under the consent agenda, we have the minutes approval, September 6, 2023, agenda approval, treasurer's report, police report, consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All vote.
Five yeas, 3 absent.
Under old business, discussion and action, third reading of ordinance 2023-102 to merge the duties of and position of utility superintendent and street superintendent into position of public works director as recommended by the Board of Public Works.
All right, do the final reading. Ordinance 2023-102, an ordinance of the city of Falls City to amend sections 1-212 and 2-214 of the Falls City Municipal Code to assign the duties of the street department and street projects to the Board of Public Works, to create the position of Director of Public Works, and to merge into such position the duties of utility superintendent and street superintendent, to repeal ordinances in conflict herewith, and establish an effective date.
Motion to approve.
All vote.
5 yeas, 3 absent.
Under new business, regular business, discussion and action. Authorize a final allocation of levy authorization at 0.033455 for the Falls City Airport Authority, fiscal year 2023-24.
So the airports met to get their final budget component stuff figured out. They finalized their component there for the levy, which is $61,200. Comes out to that general rate for that, essentially as the governing body over top of that. We set that each year or approve that final allocation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All vote.
5 yeas, 3 absent.
Number 2, discussion and action. Authorize approval of installation of a mural on the south patio retaining wall at the Falls City Library and Art Center. And
This is part of our Sunday Fun Day event we have coming up this Sunday. So Christina Wartenberger is working with Chris Bennett, the art teacher at the public school, to basically do an outline of kind of like a bookend look. And then they're inviting the community members to come and kind of assist in the painting of that. And so it's kind of like a paint by number situation. This is, yeah, kind of celebrating.
The way I can make it fly.
Yeah, keep it in lines.
This is funded by the Creative District, and that $10,000 grant we received as our initial approval. It's something to kind of capitalize on our city of art and get people involved in the Creative District, and hoping to add more murals in the future. So it's nice that someone local can help lead this project and then get the community involved to get it painted. So we're excited about that. They did get approval from the library board already. So this is just, you know, you guys' approval to be able to paint on city property, basically. So that'll be really cool.
Yeah, I think
Motion.
so. Second.
All vote.
5 yeas, 3 absent.
Number 3, discussion and action, request for a 30-foot curb cut at 1706 Wilson Street. John and Tiffany Ford.
So that was included in the packets. That property, or Sean owns, 200 linear feet, I think, along that street.
Yeah, 3/4 of the block.
Are those parceled all together?
Actually, they are all portions.
I was gonna say, on the assessor's side, it doesn't show them, but it shows they're null.
Yeah, they're no, they're all, they're
Yeah.
all parceled together. Yeah, the White House is what I'm tearing down here. I put the
Yeah.
demo permit in, yeah.
The one to the south there.
And the little shed there is, I jump the curb all the time with my little trailer backing up. It's just hard to heck on things, so that's why I want to do a curb cut so I can back it out. It probably ain't gonna be 30 feet, it's gonna be 20 probably. When I come in and fill the permit, I didn't even think about it. And I said, oh, just give me 30, so it's probably 20. So it'll be-
Yeah,
They're
30,
gonna say you
30
can't,
is the max.
you can't drive very good if you need 30.
Yeah, it'll probably be 20. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve this request.
You want to do that at 20?
I'd say 20.
Second.
All vote.
Five yeas, 3 absent.
Discussion and action. Number 4, request for closure of Lane Street on October 31st, 2023 for Halloween. Jay Moorhead.
Go ahead, Jay.
Hello, my name is Jay Moorhead. I live at 2016 Lane Street. We're asking that Lane Street be closed on October 31st from 19th north. And I'm not real sure what the times were last year. We've done it for the last several years. I don't know if it's from 5 to 8, somewhere around in there. But that's our request, is that we close it at least from those time period.
Okay, that was one of the questions I had, was what, from 19th on north?
Yes, all the way to, what is that, 26th Street?
Yeah, I believe so.
Did we close for yourself last year?
And that was the first time we went south on 20th. It was like, well, it used to be when it first started, it was 21st Street North, and then we moved it back a little
I
bit.
was thinking it was 18.
Last year, I'm gonna estimate that we had about 1,500 people at our house between adults and children. And I mean, it gets pretty hectic on Lane Street, which I kind of wish there was some way that the city could tie something into that. Maybe set something up at Family Fair parking lot, because that's where people park at anyway, for their kids to go through. Might be an opportunity for the city to create an event, more family oriented. I don't know if that's something that has to go through the chamber, through the city council.
We tried to mess with it a little bit last year, wasn't well received, so we'll probably just close the streets. You know, Family Fair and everybody else wants to let them park, I understand, but yeah.
And another question I have is a lot of people say that nobody else trick or treats at their house, they all come to Lane Street. Like, well, come over to Lane Street to hand out candy. Is it possible for people to get in the center island there and set up a table or whatever? And hand out candy?
People's done it before. There have been people that,
And,
yeah, I mean,
didn't know-
they just
know
sort of,
there's an extension cord from each of the streetlights, and I didn't know if people could have access to that they wanted to set up lights or something just for that evening. So,
I know that there's been people go down there and sit there before because they wanted to do the same thing. It was a few years back. Didn't have to be anything formal. Streets are closed off anyway,
Yeah,
so I don't
shut
think
down.
it's gonna hurt anything.
I just didn't know because that being city property.
Well, yeah, it's really not, it's gonna be closed, so.
And it seems like there's more and more people in the neighborhood that are starting to get a little bit more active with decorating and handing out candy and so forth, so. But anyway, my request is for street closure.
So you want to match times, pretty much match the times for last year?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go back and look it up.
The only thing that would shorten that up probably would be if we had a bad storm or something that night and everybody would leave early. But usually, I mean, Sean was there last year about dusk and he knows how busy it gets about that time. So and I'm not really sure what time dusk is these days. So 8:30,
You'll-
9 o'clock.
You'll set up the barricades. Did you do that last year?
I didn't know.
We just drop them off.
Yeah, so they drop off the corner usually with the homeowners,
Yeah.
somebody picks them up, puts them in, and then takes them down at the end of the night, moves them on the curb.
It'll
That'll
be-
work itself
it'll
out.
be done.
I don't know how it works on 21st Street. I know one year the fire department was set up on 21st Street.
It was the fire department that said that. Traffic.
Okay.
I would just reach out to them to make sure they're willing to help you do that again. Yeah, just because there's no technical city employees on duty, so.
Be volunteer.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seconded.
All vote.
5 yeas, 3 absent.
Number 5, discussion and action, request for special designated liquor license at Richard Auditorium on November 4th. Who would I?
Same old stuff.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All vote.
5 yeas, 3 absent.
We able to do number 6.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do your part. We won't be able to suspend the rules, but
Discussion and action, first reading of ordinance 2023-103 to amend ordinance 2022-107 to correct the effective date of rate increases for the rural water district 2.
all right, so explain this, I put the draft ordinance in there. Essentially, when we were getting ready to put in the 2023 rates into the utility billing software, there was one piece in there that referenced the 3 years, which is 22, 23, 24, and it went 22 to 24, 25. The rates are the correct rates, but the column heading in that graph is what was incorrect. So we're changing that 24 and 25 to 23, 24 to match out with the rest of the ordinance. So it's just a little cleanup ordinance. We was hoping to suspend the rules and do that, but we will not have enough.
You're gonna have 6.
We need a
to-
super majority to do that, which we could catch that next time. It's not that big a deal. We know what the rate needed to be. That's what's going to go into effect October 1. Was the correct rate, just we didn't have a rate technically for 23 in that ordinance due to that typo error. So we won't be able to suspend, but I can do,
We can do first reading.
yep, we can
And then
do first
suspend it
reading
next time.
and we can,
Okay. I'll
Yep.
make a motion to do so then.
yep, so I'll do the first reading here.
Okay.
Ordinance number 2023-103, an ordinance to amend section 2, subsection B, paragraph G of ordinance 2022-107 to correct the effective date of rate increases for Richardson County Rural Water District 2 from the 21st Street. And that from 21st Street is the line that goes out on 21st Street to Indian Cave area. That's what that is. That's how it's referenced. Has nothing to do with 21st Street, just location of the line. There's 3 lines that we have for rural.
Motion to approve that first reading.
Second.
Vote.
5 yeas, 3 absent.
That's the end of the agenda. Meeting adjourned.